Hello, everyone. My name is Nimmer, and I am just waiting to see if anyone joins before I get going with this live stream. So I'm still adjusting to this YouTube interface. It's the first time I've done it from a PC. This is not this is not a professional setting or anything like that, but I hope that it does come out okay. I just wanted to throw this together really quick to see what would happen. So let's see here. Okay, well, I'll go ahead and get going. And if you join in, feel free to pop into the chat if you wish, and we'll get going. All right. So let's see here. Okay. So I got my hands on the Google Pixel 3, and I just wanted to do a little bit of a review of the device, talk a little bit about it, and some of the features that it has to offer. And I wanted to first start out by talking a little bit about my experience with unboxing. Um, Actually, what I'm going to do is compare. I'll talk a little bit about the unboxing, what comes in the box, and then I will talk a little bit about a comparison between the Pixel 2 and the Pixel 3. So if you have a Pixel 2 device, um, I'll talk a little bit about that comparison, talk a little bit about a description of the device and what it feels like in the hand and that type of thing. And then I will talk about any differences that I notice in terms of accessibility, in terms of feel, in terms of sound, in terms of things that someone who uses a screen reader might care about, and even a screen magnifier might care about. And then we'll wrap it up with that. So if you have additional questions, please reach out to me. I can be found at Nimmer Jabber, Nimer Jabber on Twitter, and my email, Nimmer, Nimer at jabberspace, JABERSPACE.com. So let's get going. All right. So in the box of the Google Pixel 2, and I open up the box. There's a little box inside, and in that box, there's you have to peel off a couple of stickers. And the box, the top of it, sort of lifts up, and immediately the phone is presented to you. It's sort of wrapped up in a bunch of plastic, but it's presented. And underneath the phone, there's a card with instructions and that type of thing, as well as a SIM eject tool. And then underneath of that, then there's a separate sort of compartment for the charger, as well as the headphones. This thing comes with USB-C headphones, and these headphones work very well with the Google Assistant. Um, a little bit differently than a lot of headphones will, because it allows you to actually have notifications read out to you by the assistant, and which is pretty cool. So if you're using them, then you can have by pressing up a long press on the volume up button, they will read out the notifications. And if you press and hold the center button that is a little bit more raised, then you can, while you're holding that button, you can speak to the assistant and ask questions. So that's the USB-C headphones. And then there's a lightning cable, and then there's a USB-C to 3.5 millimeter audio jack adapter. So that's in the box. And then there's also a USB-C OTG adapter as well. So you can plug in a USB peripheral into your phone. So that's pretty much it. That's what's found in the box. Now, in terms of the Pixel 3, it's, if you have seen an iPhone 8, I would say it's very, very close to feeling like an iPhone 8. The sides are metal, but they're very, very smooth, very smooth. The power button is on the right side, and then there's a volume bar below it, sort of like the Pixel 2. Now the SIM tray got moved down to the bottom to the left of the USB-C slot. So if you're holding the phone in its correct orientation, on the bottom is the USB-C port. To the left of that is the SIM slot. The hole to put the SIM tray tool into the SIM eject tool is just to the left of where the USB-C port is. I can feel it, but there's just to the left of where that is. All right. On the left side, there isn't really anything. On the top, there isn't really anything. Uh, Maybe a little hole. I'm not sure. It might be a microphone. But other than that, there really isn't anything. On the back, there's the camera that's still towards the right edge of the back of the device. And then there's the fingerprint reader. Now, the front and the back are all glass, but the back has two different textures of glass. So the top is sort of the old Pixel 2 type glass that's on the top where the camera is, very smooth. Below that is sort of this textured glass, and it's kind of it has a different feel to it. It is glass still, but it doesn't necessarily feel like glass. It's a little bit more textured. The front is just all smooth glass. This device does have stereo speakers. I'll talk a little bit about those in a bit. But my experiences with this device, when I was able to power it on, and I was able to hold down the volume buttons, both of them at the same time, I was holding them down for 2 seconds. The accessibility, there's a little chime, went bing, and then I lit up on the volume buttons and I pushed them again for another 2 seconds, and that brought up TalkBack. The first time I tried this, I just held down the volume buttons and kept holding them down, and TalkBack never started speaking. So I figured what I had to do is, once that chime came up, it made a little chime, then I had to lift up on the volume buttons, and then I have to press again to get accessibility turned on. My immediate impressions when I turned on accessibility was that the speakers were actually a lot better. There's a little bit more bass to them. They sound different. Now, I don't know if that's because part of it is that they're in a different little enclosure, but it's kind of interesting. The um, the speakers sound definitely louder. Definitely seems like a little bit more punchy, a little bit more bass. The bottom of the phone actually vibrates when the speakers are making sound. So I was pretty excited about that. Um, when I started moving around, it seemed like the device was not necessarily as responsive as a Google Pixel 2. I had a Google Pixel 2 to compare it with, and the the touch latency from the time that you touch the screen seemed to be a little bit faster on the Pixel 2. I'm not sure, why that might be, if there were any updates. I did apply an update after the fact, and I made it a little bit better, but it's still the case now where the latency, the touch response on the Pixel 3, I would say is not the same as the Pixel 2. A little bit more latency. It's not as bad as other devices, but it's still a little bit noticeable. But the haptics is the other thing I noticed, and the haptics are phenomenal. It's just like short, sharp little taps. I'd say probably the best on any Android phone I've ever had. The haptics for just system events when you tap on a button are really good. The haptics on the keyboard, they were good on the Pixel 2. They're really good on the Pixel 3. I think this is subjective, so you're going to have to, play with this, and I suppose, assess this for yourself. But I really think that the haptics are really nice. So in terms of setup, I was able to get through the entire setup without really any problems at all. I was also able to get my data from my latest Pixel 2 backup. For whatever reason, I lost a bunch of texts, and so I'm not sure if my texts on the Pixel 2 just aren't backing up. But I was able to get my apps and everything like that back. It was interesting. Some of the apps that I had uninstalled from the Pixel 2 were still in this backup on the Pixel 3. I'm not sure why. I had uninstalled them a while ago. It said that the latest Pixel 2 backup was as of early today, so I'm just not sure why that would be, but I did get my apps, and that was really helpful. They were able to be downloaded and installed. Now, I noticed a couple of things, and I'm happy to. What I'll do is go through them. And so I'll unlock the device. I've gone ahead and done a lot of this setup already. I wanted to YouTube this whole process, but I got too excited and I decided to unbox it. And then I remembered that I wanted to YouTube the unboxing, and that never happened. So anyway, I'll unlock the device. Hopefully that's not too fast. I apologize if it might be on. I don't think it is, but if it is, please let me know. And for next time when I create another video, I'll make sure to slow it down. So by default, you cannot actually bring back the back, home, and recent apps. There's back and home, but the gestures are now in use on the Pixel 3. They were optional on the Pixel 2. They are now mandatory on the Pixel 3. So there is no, and actually, the back button only appears when it's possible to go back. Otherwise, there is no back button. It's just the home button on the bottom. All right. So one of the things that is new to this phone, and some of us have been testing the beta out already, but it's new in this version of the phone, is the well-being. So I'll go into it right now. And I'm just going to go through it. So this is digital well-being, and I'll go in here. So it says that I've used this phone for 2 hours and 58 minutes. It shows me a dashboard of how much I've used my phone so far since I've been setting it up. I can go to the dashboard. Let's go to the dashboard. So it shows me my screen on time. Gives me a bar chart. So I can set up timers. I used YouTube TV. I guess maybe I had it on for background noise or something. Settings, PayPal, and so on. So it shows you what apps you've used in this. So we'll go back. So it shows you what you've used and how much time you've used it. And you can control that so that if you didn't want to use an app for, or if you wanted to limit how much time you use a certain app, then you could set that up. It might be useful for things like Facebook, or I don't know what people might want to limit. It also shows the number of unlocks and notifications. Apparently, I've received 31 unlocks, or I've unlocked it 31 times, and I have 94 notifications. Now, a lot of those were app installs, installing apps, email account syncing. I had to add those, and so the device management came up and that type of thing. But it shows you how many notifications you've received and apps you've got. I mean, unlocks. I can set up this wind down, and what I think that does is it will allow you to be able to basically bring the screen to grayscale. So if you're looking at the screen, you may not want to look at it as much. And also probably would limit apps, and it might put it on do not disturb. Manage notifications, so I can turn off notifications. I can turn on do not disturb. There's one more setting in here. Okay, flip to shush. And what this is basically if I turn this on, then if I put the device down on a table and flip it screen down, then it will automatically put it into do not disturb. Now, I haven't played with this enough. What I kind of wonder is what would happen if you have the phone in your pocket, and if it's smart enough to know that it's in your pocket. It probably is, but I have not tested that part of it out. So um, I'm just not sure about that. And then show icon in the app list. So if I want digital well-being to be in my apps, that was off by default. I turned it on. So, all right, let's go back. Um, for the most part, really, there's not any other, there's some changes in the camera, but in terms of accessibility, there aren't really any big changes. Now, the vibration motor in this Pixel 3 is a lot better, as I said. And so what it tries to do is it tries to time the vibrations with the ringtones. And this is harder to explain, but I noticed this when I received the call. And so that is a Pixel 3 thing now, although the timing isn't, it's off, and it's really annoying because the sounds are off. They're not completely in tandem with the vibrations. It's really annoying, but um, and I will just go into the system so you can see that I have a Pixel 3 here. Phone Pixel 3. So I have a Pixel 3 here. This is the 128 gigabyte version. Let's see. We can go into accessibility just to see if there's anything new. So some of these are my own apps. Most of them were, so they are not necessarily installed by default. So this lets you set the level of what the vibrations feel like, I guess. So there isn't really anything new in terms of accessibility features. Some of the things that I would turn off on this, I'll go into the display. Unless you're able to see the screen, here I will turn off a couple of these settings in here. Ambient display is what it's called. An ambient display basically keeps the display on and shows things that are on, like a notification or the time. It's not a really big deal, but it does take a little bit more battery. It's not a huge amount of battery, but it does take up more battery. So I turn this off because I can't really see the screen. If you can and you want this on, then certainly keep that on. A couple of other settings that I disable are under gestures. Let's see. All right, so we'll go to gestures. So this thing has active edge, so that's still a feature. That's basically where you can squeeze the device to access the Google Assistant, and it works really well. So swipe fingerprint for notifications, that's still here. Jump to camera and flip. We'll tap the power button, it opens the camera. Flip the camera, you do a little twist in the camera, and it switches from the back camera to the front camera. So double tap to check phone. These are the two settings that I definitely turn off. Double tap. I can't talk anymore. To check phone. Basically, if you double tap your phone, it'll turn it on. I guess I've had some issues with that in my pocket, and I don't remember exactly why I turned it off, but I turned it off. It also saves battery, so it's not that hard for me just to put my finger on the fingerprint reader if I really want to check my phone. Lift to check phone, again, that's another thing. I just turn that off. So, and I don't know that this is even accessible. I think this is just like it'll pop up something on that ambient display screen or whatever, lift to check phone or double tap to check phone. So I'm not even sure that it actually turns the screen on, but I turn that off. And then prevent ringing on vibrate. If you push the power button and the volume up button, then you can select whether or not that vibrates or mutes your phone. For some reason, it's not a two-way toggle, so it only vibrates or goes on silent. I wish it was a two-way toggle, so you can push it once to vibrate and once to turn back on, but it doesn't work that way. I have it on, but I don't really use it, so I think it was on by default, maybe. I'm not really sure. Anyway, I think that's about all on the Google Pixel 3. I definitely recommend this phone. It feels really nice in the hand. The aluminum sides are very, very smooth. The glass back is really nice to hold. It does have wireless charging. I did get the Pixel stand, but it has not arrived. So once it does, I can review that. Um, Definitely recommend this device. If somebody were to ask, would I upgrade from the Google Pixel 2 to the Pixel 3? My answer is no. So it's not worth the price unless you want the better audio in terms of the speakers, and unless you want wireless charging. The screen is a little bit bigger on this device. There's a little bit more screen room. The haptics are a little better, not a huge difference really. A lot of the software features will be coming to the Pixel 2. Some won't, but a lot of them will. The ones I care about certainly would be. So just some things to note, but I probably would not upgrade. It's just not. I don't think it's worth an extra $100 and some odd in price. It jumped, I think, $150 in price. The Pixel 2 was $649. Pixel 3, $799 for the cheapest versions. I don't think the price hike is necessarily beneficial for a lot of users, but some users who want the extra add-ins, for sure, will be happy with the Pixel 3. It's not a bad device. One of the issues that I noticed, and I did a little bit of research, I just wanted to bring this up here at the end, what is the microphone? When I tried to record something using the microphone, my volume was sort of muted a little bit. It was a little soft. And I looked up on the forums, and this seemed to be an issue. So hopefully they fix that in an update. But other than that, I'm not really having any problems on the Pixel 3. Definitely recommend this device. So again, if you have any questions, please send me an email or find me on Twitter, NIMERJABER on Twitter, or email Nimmer, NIMER, at Jabber, JABER, space, SPACE.com. Thank you very much, and we'll see you around.